As guest of honor, obviously, you asked for something to be a little bit informal, so I took off the tuxedo and I just put on an Amherst shirt. So Deanne, as you all well know, was born and raised in Newfoundland, but spent so much of her life here that she's certainly a long-time Amherst resident and one of our own. She's certainly noted as a fiber artist. Her rugs are world-renowned, and we're so proud that her studio is just around the corner. But she's also a counselor and an author. She's been featured in print publications over the years. And her work is so vitally important, it's a part of major collections in the Canadian Museum of History, as well as the Art Gallery of Nova Scotia, something I'm afraid I didn't know. So why are we here today? Well, in December of 2023, Deanne was appointed to the Order of Canada, and I will quote, "for her contributions to the advancement and recognition of rug hooking as an art form." So the Order of Canada was first awarded in our centennial year of 1967, and this is one way that Canada will honor people who make exceptional contributions to our nation. And I asked a question, we did a little research. She is the first resident of Amherst to be called to the Order of Canada. So it is distinctly our pleasure here to celebrate you, your recognition by our Governor General, Mary Simon, and of course your beautiful work. Quoting Deanne, "Beauty can be found in the ordinary. The inspiration to create art can be found everywhere. Art is a representation of a community's heart and soul, and you do our community proud." So, would you please come up? We'll just have a...
Thank you.
presentation.
Thanks, David. How's that? I have a little bowl. Thank you. I do, yeah. Thank you. So, if there's a mic around, I like to be at it. It's just my nature a little bit, so I do want to say a couple of words. I always write, if I'm going to talk to people, I like to take time to think about it. And one of the things that I think about is the advice. Like, I send out these Sunday letters every week, and you know, advice has gotten a really, really terrible rap, I think, that we shouldn't give advice, that we shouldn't tell people what to do, that we shouldn't. And there's truth in that. I agree with some of that. But I think about really being part of this community for over 40 years. I was raised by this community, and I've gotten a lot of advice from a lot of you, really. And I can look around and I can see people who've given me really good advice and really good ideas, and who've strengthened me. So when I was a young woman, whenever I left the house, my mother and my father would say, "Be a good girl." And I knew what that meant to them, and a lot of you know what that means to a parent, right? And I think about a lot of the advice, I think a lot about the advice that our parents have gave us, and each of you are holding that advice that you were given in your heart right now. I know you are, and this talk is going to be really short. I want to assure you of that. First, I always tell people that. And that advice really matters to me, and as I've grown older, my idea of being good, or trying to be good, because that's all you ever get, is you get to try. I only ever really partially live up to that. And that measure of what is good, I think, is inside of each of us, and we are aware of it, and we question it in ourselves each day. That's what it is to try, to live a good life, is to, you know, think about what we are and what we're doing. So that was like the first piece of advice. Just be a good girl. Just try to be a good girl. It's not easy, really. You know me, you know I don't find it that easy. And I remember David Miles once saying to me, when I had young children and I was taking them to church and stuff, and I remember David Miles saying to me, he was the priest at the Anglican church, he said, I watch you, Deanne, trying to be good, and I know you don't find it easy. I mean, really, I don't know. But I remember him saying that to me. Another good piece of advice that I got was from my Uncle Donald. My Uncle Donald worked on the high steel in New York, so he was one of those men that walked across the girders. A lot of Newfoundland and a lot of indigenous people did that work. And we were in Brooklyn, and he said to me, and I said to him, there were people begging on the street. And I said to him, what do I do? I was 21 years old, and he said, oh, for Christ's sakes, you got a quarter in your pocket and somebody wants it, give it to them, right? Give freely without judgment, I think. And I thought, yeah, that is good advice. And I always carry that with me. I don't always have a quarter in my pocket, and I miss it sometimes too. I miss the mark, but just simple advice. And then my husband, if you know my husband, you know he's a fountain of advice. He is. And some of it indeed has gone unheeded, really. But some of it I have listened to, and it has changed me deeply over the years. And it has helped me grow. And I was 20 years old when I met Robert. And some years later, I told him that I was going to stay home and hook rugs. And his advice was, sure, do whatever you want, right? That's good advice. If someone really loves you, that's the advice they're going to give you. And he taught me how to run a business, really. He taught me how to care for customers. And he taught me to love Amherst and the marsh and the surrounding areas and the people and the beauty here. And his mother, Alexandra Mansour, if you knew her, she was a wonderful woman. And when I would drop Mikhail off there, and I was always happy to drop Mikhail or Dale off and let her take care of them. You know what I mean? They just wanted it. You raised young children, you wanted an hour to yourself. And I would say, thank you so much. And she would say, dear, there's no need to thank me. We are here to be good to each other. You know, she was like the original Buddhist, I think, in Amherst. Like, you know, if you ever saw her walking with her hands behind her back, like she gave me good advice. And my sisters, Donna and Joan, are here today. And I was raised by 6 sisters. I am one of 7 sisters. And watching those women live good lives, and watching each of you live good lives. And, you know, I can look out and I can see advice I've gotten from Krista. I can see advice I've gotten from Stephen, from Mark. You know, I can see advice I've gotten from Sharon. I can see it all over the place here, from Morris, from Mikhail. Mikhail gives me advice a lot, and some of it is really good. Really, some of it is really good. And I watch my children try to be good and to do good things, you know. And we all here have done really wonderful things in our community. And I look around here and I see people who've given me good advice, and I see people here. The whole idea of the Order of Canada comes from Hebrews, the Christian Bible, and it is they desire a better country. And when I look at this community right now, I see people who desire a better country. I see people who desire a better community, and I see people who act on it. And I see people here who've taught and helped and mentored me along the way. And I really, really do mean that. And I want to thank you each for coming out. And also want to tell you that if something good happens, you might as well celebrate it and have fun. Someone wants to throw you a party, let them. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. We brought out cakes, and there's lots of sandwiches, so eat up. That's all.